Dear Lord, we thank you for the beautiful afternoon that you blessed us with, Lord, and we thank you for this organization that you've given us. Lord, we ask for a little bit of your wisdom this afternoon as we deliberate the decisions important, and ask that you bless this organization and us as we serve it. In his name we pray. Amen.
All right. Item number 2, approval of the minutes from the March 7th call meeting. That was in the packet. Anybody has any questions or alterations or changes? Do I hear a motion they be approved as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. That's going to be unanimous. All right, next up, item number 3, the February and March divisional reports. Is that Keith?
That's me. These are, as Parker said, for February and March. Keep that in mind. If you have any questions, just stop me and we'll see if we can get you an answer for it. In the administrative department, FEMA's continuing to work with us on reimbursement from Hurricane Helene. And if all goes as planned, we should start seeing some reimbursements by the 4th quarter of this year. And the Mill Street property purchase closed. That's adjacent to the Mill Street substation. That closed on April 4th. In the electric department, the electric installation for phase 1 of Gibson Grove subdivision has been energized, and that's ready for them to start building houses up there. At the water plant, as part of the water plant pump upgrade, they installed a temporary line in the conduit to get ready for that. And also they removed some spans of the old SCADA communication wire that was on West Main and West Lawrence Streets. In the natural gas department, the inactive natural gas service leak survey has been completed, and the annual regulator and relief valve inspections has been completed. They've started turning the valves and doing maintenance on them, and they put in 2,500 feet of natural gas line in the Pine Haven Town subdivision, and they also extended a line on Douglas Road in Barksdale, and that's nearing completion. In the water and sewer department, there were 2 6-inch taps put in for the Pine Haven Town subdivision to get ready for the paving project on Anderson Drive and Hillcrest Drive. There was 5 manhole frames and covers that were replaced. And the contractor that's performing the upgrade at the water plant pump station, they've moved on site to get ready for that. And on Dean Drive, they poured the foundation for the new water tank. If you go by there, you can see that. Any other questions or anything? Not that completes the February and March departmental reports.
All right, thank you. Item number 4, financial reports for December, January, and February.
With your permission, I'm only going to go over January and February.
Good. That's the only 2 I got. December, January, and February. I don't have the December one.
December's old news, and Gary's about, our auditor's about to give us a year-end report, so I don't want to worry you too much. January 31, we'll start on page 6. As you notice, Lawson Electric Division, just want to make a statement there. We are still paying, we had 2 mutual aid invoices come in so far this year. We're waiting on 1 more, okay? And then we're also having to pay the consultant that's helping us with the FEMA reimbursement. So we did see some expenses. So we had a loss in the electric division, 119, 471. Gas had a good month, 802, 443. A loss in water, 89,292, which is pretty comparable to last year. And a loss in sewer, 13,663. On the capital asset budget starts on page 11. Just a few things to point out there. The under substation is very close to, I think we're just waiting on some paying the retainage there. It's very close to being complete. We'll close that out. Also,
Stand on the rights of way that EPA's getting for.
all the easements for those are complete.
They are complete? Okay.
We're just waiting on bids for clearing that, looks like might be a little bit of a hold up there, but anyway.
Also, Gibson Grove, the electric infrastructure, we should be paying that out too, so that project will be closed out fairly soon also. When you look at the O&M and G&A budget totals, we are over budget a good bit. One of the things I didn't catch is to have actually reallocate the natural gas. Obviously, we pay a lot more in January, February than we do in May, June, July, August. So once you correct that on our financials, that'll give us a better picture where we really stand. So $847,000 over budget in January. That does look a little bit better once we get to the February financials. But if you look at that one line item, 6442, that's just that one line item. We'll have $500,000 over budget. So that will get corrected. Any questions about the January financials?
Anybody have any questions about the checks over 3,000? Bill for transformers in here, is that something that we're paying off from what we got during the storm, or is this where we're trying to inventory for
These
it?
will just be added back to inventory. Yeah, we actually had an emergency rush delivery during the storm. We paid those pretty quick after the storm.
Any other questions? Any questions on it's over 1,000? If not, do I hear a motion that we accept the January financials as presented? So moved. Second it. All in favor, raise your right hand. That's unanimous.
All right, we've been into the February 28th financials. On page 6, our P&L. Electric, a little bit better. In February, lost $38,412. Again, we did pay some expenses I can show you on the budget. Gas, $722,996. Water, again, pretty comparable to last year, loss of $28,097. And sewer, loss of $8,157. On page 12, again, on the budget totals, just want to point out really 3 line items. 6112, electric vegetation and maintenance. That also includes some grant money. We're just waiting on some money to come in from that. So you have 0 budget line item, and far year to date. Natural gas per.
We do have some grant money coming in for that.
Yeah, we're just waiting on Santee. I think our match was 30 or 33% on that, and there were I think we're 2/3 and a third. And 6442 again, $673,000 over budget. Like I said, that'll be correct when we adjust the monthly totals for that budget. And then storm restoration, the line item right below it is, that's what we've paid to consultants and mutual aid so far this year. So we've spent $148,000, which we'll be getting that back from FEMA. Just a waiting game. But those three items right there is $910,000. So when you see that $1,018,000 on page 14 or 19% over budget, that's where those are the main three drivers that are forcing those budget numbers up right now. Are there any questions about the February financials or checks over $3,000?
Anybody have any questions?
On that, Clinton Newberg Natural Gas Authority right-of-way easement for $33.50. What is that for, sir?
There, it's right there where, what's the name of that place?
Used to be Linda's Grocery.
Linda's Groceries right in there.
Where?
I'm talking about, Linda's Groceries on Highway 14.
Between Barstow and Gray Court.
Oh, yeah.
Clinton Newberry Natural Gas, as well as we have a natural gas line that goes all the way to Fountain Inn. And for whatever reason, I guess over the years they've graded that area, but those gas lines are under like less than 2 feet of dirt right now. And ours is high pressure, but theirs is transmission grade, so it's a pretty big pipe under a lot of pressure. And so we decided that we needed to lower ours and theirs. So we're doing sort of a joint project with them, partnering with them to lower those gas lines to, get them in kind of the safe zone again. So we've been working very well with them the last probably year and a half on that project.
Anybody have any other questions? If not, do I hear a motion that we accept the February financials as presented?
So moved.
All in favor, raise your right hand. That's going to be unanimous. All right, John, item number 5. Gary Bailey.
Okay, but before we move on to Gary, I meant to mention something, that today is the anniversary of Mr. Keith Woods being at the CPW. He's been here 17 years, is that right? Today, so.
After being here 8 years as a consultant.
I just want to recognize Keith there. But now we have Mr. Gary Bailey. You want to come up here?
I can stand here if you like.
We can see you pretty well from here, so.
Thanks. Good to see everyone again. It's I walked in, first commissioner here asked me, has it been a year already? That's the way it goes. It goes by so fast. But everything went well. I mean, you had the same staff doing the same good job as it did last year. And so Ashley, they have everything ready when we come in for the audit, all the backup and support. We had no journal entries, which again, that's really a good sign of the strength of your record keeping in your books, because we unfortunately sometimes have 20 and 30 journal entries when we go into the organization. So that's really, Ashley's doing a really good job, and Blake's doing a really good job, and we have a lot of municipalities, other governmental entities that are really struggling right now because they cannot find financial staff, cannot find a finance director, they're retiring, can't find replacements. I mean, you know, the Lawrence counties, Renee's retired, they're looking for someone at Lawrence County, and so it's really tough to find good people. So hold on to them. So, but we issued an unmodified opinion. That's the clean opinion, no findings. That's exactly what you want. You have the financial report in front of you. On the first page, I included a 2-page summary. I was going to go over that. I figured you probably didn't want to walk through the 55 or 70 pages of the entire audit report. So I'm going to kind of go over this year, which, you know, obviously has challenges due to the storm in the fourth quarter. But still had a good year when you factor in. We had $1.4 million of storm expenses in the year. So if you're looking at this first page, statement of activities, you'll see 3 years on there. This shows your revenues and your expenditures. You'll see revenues were up about 5% across the board, electrical, gas. Everything was up historically. You know, the natural gas historically is in that $7, $8, $9 million range. When you're looking all the way back over 22, it was higher because cold months back in that year. But overall, you had a 5% increase in your services. And then on your on your expense side, that was up about 1.4 million. And really, all of that was due to the storm. You pull the storm out and your expenses were flat with last year. And hopefully, I know you're talking to FEMA, and hopefully you'll start recouping some of that later in this year. But as you know, when I get to the cash on hand, while that's important, sometimes FEMA can take 2 and 3 years before you get reimbursed for those funds. So having cash on hand, you know, for capital needs and things like this, unexpected things, is very important. So when you look at your expenses, though, like I said, it's really flat with last year. So you end up with operating income of $112,000. So if you're looking at 23 and 22, if you go back to 22, you're about 1.4 in operating income. 23 was a little bit more difficult a year, had a $54,000 loss, operating loss, and then this year's 112. But if you added that 1.4, you're over 1.5 million. So you're actually exceeding the last few years. So when you recapture that 1.4, hopefully you'll recapture all of that. That puts you back whole, and you really had a good operating year for 2024. And then, of course, then you have your non-operating down below, and you were at 932,000 of non-operating revenues and expenses. Like most entities, you've had some good investment returns with where the interest rates are the last couple of years. So you can see you were a little over $1 million in investment income for 2024. And then at the bottom there, you'll see utility. You'll see the percentages of where you're spending your money. Utility purchases is your largest expenditure, then salaries and benefits, depreciation, city of Lawrence fees. Those percentages are down a little bit when you look at utilities and utilities from last year, but really it's because of that 1.4 million expense that's kind of throwing them off. If you pulled that 1.4 million out, then you're pretty much consistent at that 87-88% mark that you've been every year. So I guess what I'm saying is your expenses have really stayed steady, how you're spending your money and where you're spending your money, and to keep it flat with a little increase in revenue. Outside of the storm, it would have been a good bounce back from 23. The next page is a 3-year look back on your balance sheet, statement of net position. So if you'll flip over one, if you haven't, you'll see the first line there is cash. Cash did improve from a little over 19 million to over 22 million. Everything else on your current assets is fairly consistent. AR's up a little bit. Nothing odd there. Sometimes just depending on the service charges the month before. You're at about 45 days of AR, days of AR, which is very consistent. Even though the balance is up in 24, that's actually consistent with 23, about 45 days. when you look at benchmarks, that's a good benchmark of a good financial management. Once you pass that 60 days on AR, that's going to cash flow a little bit. But so you're in a good position at 45 days. You'll see capital assets. You continue to invest in capital outlay. That was up almost $5 million. You had about $7.1 million in additions, plus depreciation expense. A good portion of that, about $5 million, was CIP projects, all the CIP projects that is going on. And then some other, just some equipment, things like that that you've purchased over the year. Thankfully, you had the cash flow to cover that. You also had a new bond that helped cover that. You'll notice your accounts payable was up at the end of the year. It's around just under 3.3 million versus 1.8 in 23. Again, just timing. You had a lot of CIP projects going on in the year. You had storm-related expenses that you still had to pay. So as we went through the AP, the cutoff testing, those kind of things, nothing unusual there. And you can see that it's not even that odd. 22 was over 3 million in AP2. Again, it's just depending on what's going on at that time at the end of the year. So nothing unusual. Just want to point that out to you. Everything else on your current liabilities section is fairly consistent with last year. And then, as you know, you entered into a $7 million bond in 24. So that's the reason for your bonds and notes payable increases. Currently, you have a 24 series bond, a 22, and an 18, and then an SRF loan, which is 4. And if you want to look later on, that is on page 31. So that details of the audit report, that details every bond, the payment schedule, interest rates, all that detail. But that's on page 31. But overall, you increased your unrestricted net position from 11.8 to 14.8. So you increased your unrestricted net position by almost $3 million. Your overall net position was up $1 million. So you did it. You really had a good year. And like I said, when you pull back into 25, you pull back these 1.4 million. That's just going to add back to the unrestricted net position to improve even more. You'll see days, COH, days cash on hand. I was calculating that to be roughly 292 days. So the GFOA, Governmental Financial Officers Association, they recommend for public utility companies to have somewhere between 180 270 days of cash on hand. So you're at 292. You're slightly above what they recommend, which is great. The reason they do this is because of the capital demands on public utilities. The way $5 million can go very, very quickly in this industry. So that's good to see. Your quick ratio was about 5.5. Again, that's current assets to current liabilities. That was down about a point. Still, we have bankers here. That's still a good, strong financial position when you're going out for any debt service. And that's really just a little high because your AP was a little higher than the year. No concern again on that position. But overall, I mean, considering going through the storm and all the additional cost that you had to incur for that, still in a good, strong financial position, good, strong liquidity, good accounting staff, does a good job. So really, again, it's a pleasure, believe me. We handle a lot of audits. It is a pleasure to come to the CPW and audit your books. So we appreciate that as auditors. So with that, I'll take any questions anyone.
Gary, when you were here last year, you commented that we were kind of moving a little bit in the wrong direction. And we made not a lot, but made some small changes in August and in January for increasing our revenue a little bit, taking the storm expenses out. Do you see us needing to make many more changes in the near future?
That's a good point, because I remember looking at the margins, and the cost of electric keeps going up, and you can see the margins. And you had a $54,000 operating loss last year. So, like as you said, if you put that 1.4 million back in, then you're at about 1.5 million. So you went from a $55,000 operating loss to about 1.5 million operating gain. So you had a 5% increase. I know you implemented I think another 5% increase the beginning of January this year. So your expenses were flat. So I feel like you made a good jump forward from the trend that was trending down a little bit into 23. I think it turned and went back up for 24.
Any other questions? Gary, we appreciate all your work and your team's work, and for you coming here tonight to go over this with us. Thank you so much.
Unfortunately, tax season ends tomorrow, so I got to go back and prepare some more tax returns.
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate it.
As is customary, we will take this under advisement and discuss and vote at the next meeting. All right, John, that brings us to item number 7.
Okay, yeah, I think everybody had a chance to meet Courtney earlier. She is with Keeping Lawrence County Beautiful, and she's got a presentation for us.
Good afternoon. Thank y'all for having me. Like you said, my name is Courtney Stonell. Just to kind of give you a little background of what Keep Lawrence County Beautiful is, we are an affiliate of Keep America Beautiful, which is housed under the Palmetto Pride. So we kind of get to be a part of a big network, not just in South Carolina, but across all over. I think we was the 37th affiliate to join in South Carolina. So it's a lot of us working together because litter has no county line. So us working together to make our bigger impact. So I do want to say I am here to do my least favorite part of my job, and that is asking for money. Keep Lawrence County Beautiful, along with a lot of other nonprofits, took a big hit this past year from the county. The county went from giving me $40,000, which I was expecting, to $5,000. So that was a big, okay, so what can we do? So one of the things I'm doing is I'm coming to all our utility companies, asking for money, and so I'm going to kind of tell y'all why it's important to invest in what I do, and then see how we can work together and hope y'all are interested. So our mission is to engage the public in countywide litter recycling and beautification efforts through impact education and enforcement. I'm going to be really quick. I could sit here and talk trash. I love to say I can talk trash all day, but I know everybody's ready to get home. So I'm going to kind of very briefly go over this. To kind of give the history of how Keep Lawrence County Beautiful came about for us is in 2010, it started as a committee at the chamber, as the beautification committee, and it has grown from there. In 2020, I think my number is missing. In 2020, the county, the different municipalities come together and was like, okay, we see litter as a problem. Let's all come together and how can we fight this? So they came and they created a general ordinance throughout the whole county to make where our law enforcement officers can write tickets for littering. So that was kind of a big thing. Believe it or not, everybody could agree on one thing and work together towards it. And then in 2021 is when I came on board and we became an official affiliate of Keep America Beautiful. Now, I am housed at the chamber, and so I know CPW gives the chamber money, and they greatly appreciate that. I actually run through the chamber foundation, so I am completely nonprofit and run off just our partnerships and grant money. So I want to start by saying last year I did a survey I sent out to people, and I asked how often do you dispose of your waste properly? And of course, everybody, 95% said they always dispose of their trash properly. But I think obviously we can look on the sides of the roads and anywhere else, and we know that's not quite the case. Study shows that 81% of litter is intentional, meaning there was not a trash can there, or maybe they went to the landfill or the dump to drop it off. It was closed, and they decided they're going to just throw it on the side of the road wherever they can. 19% is unintentional. Like, for example, and these are actually all pictures that I've taken, the truck unsecure loads, just flying out the back. They're just doing their jobs, probably didn't even know it was flying out. And this is a duck from Squealing on the Square. And I love to go to kids, and one of my big things is getting into our schools and educating our kids on these type of things, because as adults, if they litter, they're probably going to continue to litter. What's going to happen is their kids can now come in and say, you're not supposed to do that, and maybe they can make the difference. And I love to say it. So is this duck litter? And of course, every kid's like, no, it's a rubber duck, it's a toy, but it is now on the ground, and has now become litter. So that's kind of a big eye-opener for kids, I like to tell them. So how does litter impact us? Why do we even care to invest in litter prevention in Lawrence County? And this is actually a picture that was taken from the water goat that's actually in Greenwood. I think that had been there maybe 2 weeks, and that's what was collected from their little riverway. So, for one, it goes into our drinking water. We have now created, and you can look into our report, you can see the different storm drains that we have started. We have 3 in Clinton, and 1 in Lawrence, and 1 in Graycourt. And their storm drain bureaus educate people on whatever's going down our storm drain is heading to our lakes and creeks, which is where we get our drinking water from. So, something to think about when you see all that. These are just how the microplastics are ending up in our food, again, our drinking water. Not only is littering harmful for our bodies, but it causes 125 on average fertility deaths a year, just from unsecured loads. How many in here has had to swerve to miss trash that has fallen out of somebody's car? And so one of the things on the enforcement side is I work closely with the sheriff's office, working on educating people and passing out tarps to educate people on securing their load. And I like to tell them it has nothing to do, even if you don't care about the environment and that's not your thing, just for the safety purposes of it. It definitely has an economic impact on our community. The Home Builders Association says that it reduces property values by 7%. And when we have industry and places coming around to come and where do they want to make jobs, if they see that the community's covered in trash, they're probably not going to pick that community to build their business and bring people in. So who is actually paying for this? You can see these numbers of what the annual cost is just to pick up our litter. So ultimately, who's paying for it? We are anyways. So it is my job to help go and educate people on this, and so maybe they will understand why we should not throw our trash out the window. A big thing is it increases crime rate. Wherever there's a place that is filthy, covered in trash, it shows that nobody cares about that area, and nobody's there watching it, and you can do whatever there. So in everybody's packet, in front of everybody, I did a 2024 little report of just kind of all the different projects that we had going on over the past year. With me being a fairly new organization, this is just the beginning, and I want to grow this and get as many schools and students involved. So I'm not going to go through and give you all the details of that. Y'all can look at it. And if you have any questions, let me know. One of my big things that I like to go and educate people, and I'll ask in this room, who here knows that you can only recycle plastic 1s and 2s in Lawrence County? Did y'all know that?
Question.
What?
Question.
If you know that you can only recycle plastic 1s and 2s, so when everybody comes to me, the biggest thing I get is, so when I go to the dump, they tell me it's just going to the trash anyways. Well, yeah, if it's not done right, we don't have the manpower to have somebody just to pay and sort that plastic out if it's not done right. And you can see on your bottles, if you're ever wondering what that even means, is in each of your recycle loops, there's numbers. And so that's what the plastic's made out of. And so you can only do the 1s and 2s, and you'll see that inside the loop. So if it's any other number and you put it in that recycle bin, it's now completely going in the trash.
You can just do what, 1 and 2?
Just 1 and 2 plastics. And like I said, a lot of people do not know that, and that is one of the main reasons why recycling in Lawrence County is not what we want it to be. So it is my goal to continue educating our public on this so that we can make it efficient and not cost so much money to be able to do it. Here's just a kind of quick 2025 look at what the calendar year looks like, the different types of holidays that I kind of celebrate. It's happening right now is Earth Month. I know CPW does a great job participating on our Earth Month cleanup. They'll be doing that next Tuesday, which is Earth Day, the 22nd. So, and we're just encouraging everybody to go out and clean up. It doesn't even have to be a big, huge, one of my big things is everybody thinks you gotta have a big, huge community cleanup to get involved. Pick up trash wherever you are. The Lieutenant Governor has a big initiative, it's called Grab a Bag. And that is exactly what it means. Just educating our community on getting out, just picking up a bag of trash, and you are making a difference. One of the big education pieces that we do is just last week we had Team Ecology, where we have every third grader in Lawrence County comes to the Joe Adair Center, and we do all environmental education. It's 8 different stations that they go and learn all the different, anything from land to how the landfill works, our watershed, and it's really cool. And the chamber pays, CPW actually has a part in that, and the sponsorship through the chamber, and it provides t-shirts for all the third graders. So if you are not familiar with that, please next year come check it out. It's great, great thing. This year was the first year we had increased our numbers by inviting our other charter schools, Thornwell, Lawrence Academy, and we opened it up to our homeschool groups. So we do try to do quarterly cleanups because everybody does want that big community cleanup, so we do have that happening quarterly. September, after Earth Month, September will be the next big, we celebrate World Cleanup Day for September 20th. Again, Earth Month, which, like I said, CPW has already done a great job getting involved with that, and I really appreciate all they do to help with that day. I do want to leave everybody with a little note to think about. So I know we talk a lot about litter prevention, but a lot of that has to do with also just reducing the amount of waste that we create as humans in general. I got these numbers from the county transfer station numbers. Just from our holiday waste, we doubled the amount of waste that we created. And up there you can see we collected over 2,000 tons of trash. And that extra bit of trash that we created from December to January is enough to pack 90 school buses of waste that we created. That's all going into our landfills. So as cities, counties, all this, a lot of money goes into trash. And so it is my goal to help educate and cut back on that amount of waste and money that we're spending on them type of areas. I do have, if it's needed, I have a total, if anybody would like to see it, it just kind of shows my total income from the beginning of 2021 where we started to where where all the money's come from, and then you can see the major hit that we took from the county's laws, and just trying to make that up if anybody would like it. And if anybody would want any more of these records, I can get it to you, send it, however. Everything I have for the public I can send. So any questions for me? I know I said a lot, and I could literally talk to y'all all day about it, but I'll let y'all go home tonight. So.
When you see inmates out on the side of the road picking up trash, is that done through our local sheriff's department? How is it?
Sometimes SCDOT, and I work closely with SCDOT also, they have inmates specifically for their road crew that go out. So a lot of them are the SCDOT inmates. Okay. But now the county does have some. They're kind of they have now hired a litter enforcement officer that will be taking the inmates back out. So it's kind of when they have that person that's kind of their passion is when they get that's really going well. So hopefully the person they have training now will be on board and ready to come in and take them out and start picking up more.
How much money are you getting annually from the city of Lawrence and the city of Clinton?
10, I want to make sure I'm saying this right. Yes, so, well, from the city of Lawrence, 10,000. The city of Fountain Inn was given 8, and then once all this happened with my funding, they bumped it up to 10,000. The city of Clinton has not given anything this year. So that's another, and that hasn't quite been confirmed, but, so that's another 10,000 in my budget that's, that we're looking at fixing, so. And like I said, I'd be happy to share. Would you like?
I'm just curious.
Okay.
And just to reiterate what she was talking about, the cost of litter, it's been several years ago, but I was in a meeting with a Department of Commerce representative, and he said that he had brought a group of German executives into the Columbia airport, and they were going to go look at a site in Spartanburg, and he said they got about halfway there, and the head guy said, turn around. He said, we're going back to the airport. And the guy said, you know, what's wrong? He said, I'm just looking at all the trash on the side of the road. If you don't care any more about your community than that, we don't want to be here. And they got back on the plane and flew back to Germany. So it has a definite cost, litter does.
Up north, a lot of those states, you pay 5 or 10 cent deposit. I don't know if you take the bottles back or not, but you pay a fee for buying the thing to hire somebody to pick it up.
Yeah. So.
If you don't mind, I'd like to see your
Absolutely. Like I said, this is just the income from what we've had from the beginning to what we've lost.
transparency is a big ise these days, so, you know, thank you.
And like I said, I'll be happy to share any of my other financial questions that anybody has.
Anybody have any other questions? Gordon, we appreciate you coming. We'll take everything you've brought us under advisement, and then we'll be back in touch.
All right, thank y'all so much for y'all's time.
Thank you. All right, John, I don't have my glasses on, but I think that brings us to item number 8.
Let me put mine on, yeah. The next item up, we have Mr. Calvin Whitmire, recently elected to City Council. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And he would like to talk about bridging the gap a little bit.
Well, I'm going to keep it brief, okay? A couple of weeks ago, we had the misfortune of losing a van due to a fire. Thank God that the driver just pulled into Ford Elementary, and they had a delayed turning them out of school. Had it not been for a delay, possibly could have been on that van. But I'm so thankful that the driver acted swiftly, the fire extinguisher, and then called 911. Destroyed the van, but the most important thing, lives wasn't lost. So I'm here today asking for sponsorship, $1,500 for sponsorship. We're trying to use our kickball festival. This is our 8th year, and we're going to use the funds to try to purchase a van for our organization. So that's my letter of request, that there's other people who have joined in also in trying to be a sponsor for our kickball festival. I would like to hand each one of you all a flyer so you can see some of the other people that's involved, if it pleases him.
Absolutely.
This year's it's a little bit for everybody.
Thank you.
From 2 to 92. And it's bringing the community together using old playground sports to bring people together that generally maybe not won't get together. Next Saturday will be a high time. We're hoping that this will be our largest group ever. But some of the sponsors you see on there have stepped up. They see the calls, they see the need, and we want to keep our kids safe. And generally during the summer is our biggest group. We've generally housed about 40 or 50 kids during the summer. Being able to take them places, if we read about parks, we take them to the state parks. Throughout the whole summer, they work on reading, writing, and math, public speaking, music, and now we have an agricultural part to it. We have a greenhouse on campus, so it's planting season now, so the kids learn how to plant from ground to the table concept, grow, and then they learn how to actually prepare the food. And 95 to 100%, well, I'll say 100% of our staff volunteer, mostly educators. Don't have to be educators, but we've been fortunate that some of the retired educators said they see enough, they see the need, and they stepping up. So I wanted to come and at least verbalize this and ask of you all if you would do a $1,500 sponsorship this year for our kickball festival.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions?
How much do you think it's going to cost for you to purchase a new van?
Well, it won't be new. We're
Used or whatever?
we're probably around $7,000 to $8,000. That's what we're looking for. 7,000 to 8,000. So
Collected anything towards that?
we've closed 3,000 so far.
Okay, so you're almost halfway there.
We're,
Any other questions?
I just appreciate the good job you do with those children.
I thank God for your kind words. It's a passion, and I don't forget that it was a teacher who helped save me. So it's an opportunity for me to give back. So what I do, I want to thank you all. Over the years, y'all have supported our kickball festival. Hopefully, y'all can bring your family out. If you don't stay but 30 minutes to an hour, it's something for everyone. So I really encourage you all to come out and get involved. And it's good for the community to see other people coming together. So thanks again for allowing me to come.
Thank you. We appreciate you coming, and again, we'll take that under advisement and get back in touch.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, John, we got some good news with item number 9.
Yeah, I don't know if folks saw the advertiser last week or Go Lawrence this week. I'm sure everybody here reads the advertiser. But this was the award that we recently received. I went to a conference, American Public Power Association, and they, out of 200 utilities across the state, across the United States, they separate us into different groups, and the group that we're in are the group that has 30,000 to 59,000 work hours per year. And we're in Group C, and we were the top utility in the United States for safety for our particular group, which is the diamond level here. So we got some nice photographs in the newspaper and all that, but I just wanted to make sure y'all were.
Congratulations.
And that actually happened last year. So during the storm and all the craziness that was going on, and a lot of really dangerous work happened then. So kudos to the guys for working safely there.
Good going. All right, item number 10, dealing with electrical infrastructure policy.
Okay, in your packet there, this is adding to, if you recall, the last probably a year and a half, 2 years, we've made a lot of revisions to this particular policy. And this is actually just broadening the policy from a residential perspective to the commercial and small industrial. And basically what we're doing is we're changing, if you flip over to, I didn't put page numbers on here. I think yours should be highlighted. Is it highlighted in there, Parker?
There's some stuff highlighted on page
The different
1.
changes.
Let's see.
You go over to the
Yeah. There's,
next to the last page and the last page. And basically what we're doing here is we're defining what is considered commercial, what is considered medium commercial or small commercial, medium commercial, small residential, or small industrial, and large industrial. And if a new customer comes on that is a small commercial property, this is saying how much we will contribute toward the installation of the electric infrastructure for that particular structure. So this kind of puts a little more, defines a little more of what we will actually do, whereas in the past, If you recall, prior to COVID, we installed everything at our expense, but with the price of everything going up significantly, we just couldn't do that anymore. So anything above this amount, the customer would have to pay the difference there. So, and then you see the amounts for small commercial. It's just a little bit more than residential. It's $1,978. Medium commercial, which is a larger, maybe a grocery store or something like that, $14,310. And then anything large commercial would be $109,000. It sounds like a lot of money, but when you're buying transformers and putting in conductors and that sort of thing, it goes pretty good. So we think this is more fair, and it kind of balances out what we're asking the residential market to bear when it comes to installing electric infrastructure. And so we'd like to include that in with the policy. Any questions?
Anybody got any questions?
I'll just add that those numbers came from part of our rate study. That was an addition that we had on the end. So they looked at what it cost and to give us a reasonable return on investment for each class of electric customers. So that's where the figures come
And now the larger industrial, for example, a big plant out at Hunter Industrial Park, we're just going to take that on a case-by-case basis. So it just depends on how large it is. And that sort of thing.
All right, any questions? If not, do I hear a motion we accept the changes to the electrical infrastructure policy? All in favor, raise your right hand. That's going to be unanimous.
Very good.
All right, that brings us to item number 11, executive session. I hear a motion we go into executive session, return to public session, and call the chair. All in favor, raise your right hand. That's going to be unanimous too. Congratulations on your award, Judith.
Thank you.
Executive session.
All right.
Yeah, here's the second.
You go see.